When you sit down to create your retirement plan, there's a lot that you need to deal with. But for most of us, one of the most important questions that we need to answer is how long we'll live. Or, put a slightly less morbid way, how long of a retirement that we need to prepare for. All sorts of other questions, from what the stock market will do to what inflation will look like to how tax rates will change, are really important. But knowing how long we'll live and the number of years of income that we'll need to cover really gets to the heart of the retirement planning puzzle. The trick is, like a lot of those questions I just asked, we really don't have any way of getting a real answer. And frankly, I'm not really sure whether I would want a real answer to that question. But we can get into the right ballpark, which is what we really need from a planning perspective, by looking at life expectancy data. But before we go charging into the data, I want to talk a little bit about how to think about what the numbers actually mean. First off, life expectancy is an average. It's measuring the expected average time we have left, given whatever specifics are in play for that number, which we'll come back to that part in a second. But I really want to focus in on the average part. For us as individuals, whether we're alive or not is pretty binary. We're either alive or we're not. But when we're looking at really big groups, there's going to be a distribution. Everyone's obviously not going to die on the same day. Some people will die sooner and some people will die later. Life expectancy is just giving you the average of that range. So you can't just take the number and run with it. You need to adjust it a bit. And we'll talk about this in a second as well. The other thing I want to call out is that you want to be sure you're looking at the right data. A lot of the time, people talk about life expectancy from birth, which is a really important number for a lot of things. But it's not really that useful from a retirement planning perspective. Basically, you've already survived from birth up until this point. Thankfully, not as many people die young as they did in the past. The number isn't zero. So, for instance, based on the CDC's numbers for 2022, at birth, we have a life expectancy of about 78 years. However, if you're currently 65, then the CDC says you likely have another 19 years. So your life expectancy is now 84. And the CDC has all sorts of cool ways to slice and dice the data. Obviously by age, but also gender, race, and location as well. If you want to dig in, the link is in the description below. But I want to come back to that point I made about adjusting your life expectancy, even once you're looking at the right number. Like I said, life expectancy is based on a huge mass of people. And you're one person, or two people if you're married. That life expectancy number is a great place to start. But you want to think about how you compare to the average person here. A big one to think about is your family history. How long have your relatives lived? Did all of your grandparents live past 100? Also, what have your relatives died from? That might be something that we can treat now. You'll also want to think about yourself. How's your health? Do you smoke? How active are you? All of the normal questions apply here. These questions can't give you a specific estimate as to your particular life expectancy, but they can really help you think about how you might go about adjusting these general estimates. And one point I want to make here, from a planning perspective, you'll probably want to assume that you'll live on the long side of your life expectancy. Basically, the cost of assuming a longer life is a little bit lower spending each year. But the cost of assuming a shorter life is that you might run out of money in your old age. everyone will approach the specifics of this differently. And in fact, how you think about longevity risk is one of the things that the RISA can help you think through with your own retirement planning. Though, before I go on a tangent about the RISA, let's dive into the data. What we're looking at is our estimated remaining life expectancy based on your current age. As you can see, we've got 3 bars here. Male on the left, female on the right, and then the overall number in the middle, with the estimated remaining years above it. As you can see, there's a definite curve here. Someone who is 55 years old can expect to live another 27 years, but someone who's 65 years old likely has another 19 years, or an extra 2 years on the 55-year-old. Basically, if you're 65, you don't have to worry about the risk of dying before you turn 65, since you've already done it. We can see this more clearly if we flip the chart around and look at the actual life expectancy rather than the expected years of remaining life. We're still using the same approach, men on the left, women on the right, and the total in the middle, and the curve is even more obvious. As you get older, your life expectancy goes up. As weird as that sentence may sound. Instead of walking through all of the data here, if you want to take a look, and also if you're married, start thinking about how likely it is that one or both of you will live to a certain age, you should take a look at our article. How long can retirees expect to live once they hit 65? Just like always, we have the link in the description, so go take a look. But there's a pretty important question to address here. What do you do with this data? Sure, it's interesting, but what can you actually accomplish with it? Well, as I mentioned, it's one of the most important inputs in your retirement planning process. Not only do you need it to figure out your planning horizon, financial advisors have all sorts of euphemisms for this stuff, but that planning horizon can help guide you on how you might want to structure your plan, both in terms of spending that you can sustain over time, as well as what sort of risks you might want to be taking to help support the plan. Overall, though, I want to emphasize that this is a question worth spending some time on. Like most things with retirement planning, there's no way to really know if you get it right, but it's worth putting some real thought into. How long of a retirement you're likely to have is a massive driver of what your savings can support. Earlier, I mentioned that the RISA can help you think through how you approach longevity risk, as well as teasing out how to tell how much you value spending early in retirement versus later in retirement, along with understanding your overall personal retirement income style, and what that means for not only how you structure your investment portfolio, but the whole of your retirement income plan. If you're interested, you can take the RISA for free to really get a handle on how you approach retirement. Just go to retirementresearcher.com/free RISA, all one word, and sign up to take it. The test only takes 15 to 20 minutes to complete and will give you the information that you need to really customize your retirement plan to you. If this was helpful, be sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel so you can see what we're up to. If you have any questions on this or any other questions that you'd like me to address, just drop them in the comments below. You can also check us out on the web at retirementresearcher.com and make sure to sign up for our weekly newsletter to keep up to date with everything that we've got going on.